And like that intro said, it was the breaking news. Well, we're covering it. Look, the man with the voice said it. All right? What else am I supposed to do? Justin Fields, the newest member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, traded for a conditional pick. It'll either be a 6th rounder or it has the potential to go all the way up to the 4th rounder. The contingency is if Justin Fields plays over 51% of the plays of the Pittsburgh Steelers season, it will go to a 4. Right now it is a 6, and I imagine there's probably a contingency if he plays 25, it moves to a 5 or something along those lines. As the news comes out, we will have more of it. But here's the real interesting thing here. Any team that decided to acquire Justin Fields, they have to make a decision because his 5th-year option is either going to be exercised or not, and that's in May, and it'll be $25 million. So let's say they exercise the option for the 5th year. That would lock him up for another season, so it would be taken from essentially a 1-year deal to a 2-year deal. And now your quarterback room will cost $26.2 million. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Not bad.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Not bad.
And you're getting 2 guys who started games in the NFL last year. I should say it like this. 2 guys who walked in week 1 and were the team starters last year. Because obviously Mason Rudolph and Mitchell Trubisky also started games last year. But that is not exactly what we're talking about here. We're talking about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, his base salary is $1.6 million for next season. And I think they'll go ahead and pick up that option. I don't think they make this trade as a 1-year thing. I think somebody there thinks they can use this kid and work with him and build him up. You already get with some better weapons that he had in Chicago. I like the running game here. I just still think that the offensive line still needs some work. I worry about T.J. Watt on the injury front. It's been twice now, and it's great even though he's dominant when he plays. Mika Fitzpatrick also on that back end. But, if anybody can do this, I guess it's Mike Tomlin, right? If anybody can take a guy, Mike Tomlin's always stringing together. They played 3 different quarterbacks last year, if I'm not mistaken. Mike can string it together. If he's the opener, if he's the starter going in, I think they go ahead and get that extension. They pick that 5th year up. I wouldn't be surprised if they see what they like in the offseason and they see what they like through training camp, and he, by preseason week 3, is named a starter. They may try to finagle some other contracts or restructure some things to give him an extension instead of just picking up the 5th-year option if they feel that strong about him. We'll have to see down the road. But, like I said, this one I got to marinate on a little more. I wanted to see a few other teams go after him and get him. I thought he might fit better on. But if Mike Tomlin, the saving grace, and me saying, all right, I'm cool with it for today, but I still want to dive into a little deeper.
Yeah, well, it happened now. We're on the air now, so I guess we're going to have to talk about it now. So, but again.
Oh, what do you got? What else? How do you think? So you think he's the starter, but you don't think Russell gets cut? That's something I would like to go to. I think if he's the indomitable starter, you're only paying Russell the league vet men, right?
Sure.
So I mean, there's other quarterbacks that will get cut during preseason that I can see. I just don't think having these 2 guys there is productive. I really don't. Russ wants to be a starter, so if he doesn't become the starter, then let him go. Then cut him and bring and sign another quarterback to back up before the season starts. They're going to take 4 quarterbacks into camp, so they don't have other QBs there. I just think if Fields is the starter opening day, you can't have Russell there.
Why not?
I just think it creates more negativity than needs to be. I think it creates if he's your guy, if Justin Fields, his confidence has already been shooken and shot in Chicago. So now in Pittsburgh, I'm going to give Tomlin and the coaching staff and that franchise a lot of credit. I don't think they would look at it like, yeah, we'll keep Russ. No, we tried it. It didn't cost us nothing. We tried it out for this short period of time. We'll cut him and let him go. We don't want this kid looking over. He's got his confidence back. He's getting his confidence back. We don't want this kid looking over his shoulder. We don't need no division in the locker room. The other quarterbacks aren't going to be as good as Justin, but there's people who still hold out hope for Russ that Russ can get it done. I've been hearing it all week long. There are people who really think he could be a starter and be a productive quarterback. Go ahead, Patrick.
So, with this move now with Pittsburgh, it's hard to kind of see where it could go. I personally, from what I was hearing on how the league was viewing Fields, there have been so many things in the last 7-10 days.
Yes.
But what I was hearing as it was starting to kind of get drying up on his trade market, they were saying that all these teams were viewing him as pretty much at this point a backup. And this was before Howell went to Seattle or Kenny went to Philly and all that good stuff. So everybody's like, oh, they're seeing him as a backup to whoever's here. And then now he went to Pittsburgh. Now you got Russ. Honestly, the way I just have a feeling, and knowing what I know about Russ being a Seahawk fan and seeing him, just whatever Broncos was, I honestly think Russell Wilson's probably going to start, and I think Fields for at least 1 year this year, or unless they just let him run.
So the reports from yesterday were that Russell Wilson was going to get first crack. That was the sticking point why Kenny Pickett requested a trade. Right. So I imagine that remains the same.
Yeah, right. I think it's Russ is going to be the starter, and I'm not saying he's going to be the starter for the whole season. If he's at least productive, keeps him afloat, and working it, he'll get there. He'll be there. If he catastrophic meltdown or just anything close to what happened with his Broncos tenure, at least year one, then take a shot at Fields. But the thing about Fields is you're going to have him for this year and probably the next year after that. So maybe it's let him kind of calm down for a second, see the system, see what they got with them. Let Russ do his thing. If Russ is good, keep him, and then you go from there.
Well, that's,
if not,
to your point though, that Justin Fields, and I heard the same reports you did, some of the stuff you heard, that people don't view him as a starter. I heard the exact same thing about Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like we heard about the same thing about both guys. There's this Giants meeting. Right? That was, no one talked to Russ. No one looked at Russ. And there are teams that need a quarterback.
Yeah.
There are teams that need a quarterback right now.
Right.
There's a team that paid him $37 million and took an $85 million hit to say, bye. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't want you, bro. And nobody else in the league wanted you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I would love to get more out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Out of what really went down. So Pickett said, I'm willing to compete. They signed Russ. He's going to get first snaps. Okay, now trade me.
Yeah.
But then you bring in Justin Fields, who most people would look at and go, okay, I mean, pound for pound, I probably would start Justin over Russ. If you start Russ first, you've shaken this kid's confidence even more.
Brooke Pryor from ESPN is reporting that Russell Wilson, and she covers the Steelers, Russell Wilson will start and Justin Fields will back him up, per her team source.
Okay.
It's like with the Seahawks were saying with Geno, or the Sam Howell Geno thing, like John Schneider, who's the GM for the Seahawks, said it's Geno's job, and then whether we believe that or not, we'll see as it goes.
I don't like that in March though. If I'm the coach, they're going to compete.
Sure.
That's going to be my answer to the media. We're in March. Don't start naming starters. Now, we have no idea how this is going to shake out through the offseason and through preseason. Right now, they're competing. I would leave. True. If I'm Seattle, I would say the same thing.
It's true.
We brought him in to compete for the job.
I mean, at one point, Seattle brought in Matt Flynn on a mega contract, and then
off of that small run from the Packers.
Right. And then
run, one game.
They one game.
That's small, yeah. Well, one game. Okay, no problem. One game.
But and then they draft a third round rookie by the name of said Russell Wilson. And then what happened in training camp to all of a sudden
he clearly beat him out. He clearly beat him out.
That can, and of course that's always a possibility. I think it's very much too early to say whether this guy's a starter, and that's just not just Pittsburgh. That's what Seattle's doing, and maybe even Arizona. I doubt it, but who knows? Like, it's too early. We're still in March, but in the opportunity, let's just say Justin Fields, chip on his shoulder, looks a cut above, and just plays his heart out. There you go. Then you got it. And Russ 1 year for I think it was $10 million. I think is what they're giving him. That's still
the Steelers.
It's Pittsburgh. I think.
He's getting $1.2 million.
He's getting the vet man. Yeah, he's getting the vet low.
I mean, either way, you're not taking a gamble with him, and he's older and all that stuff. Like, you're not really. It's like, oh, Justin Fields beat him out. All right, cool. Like, just move on from him, or do.
I think Justin Fields could beat him out. He's in a better situation in Chicago.
Right.
Even though I still have questions about Pittsburgh's line, it's not as bad as Chicago's line.
Clearly, yeah.
He's got Najee to turn the hand the ball to, Freiermuth at the tight end, got a couple of receivers. They got some guys. It's different than what he was dealing with in Chicago.
Well, it's also different coaching staff.
Stable coach, stable front office, stable ownership.
Terrible offense.
That stuff matters. Well, they didn't have a quarterback though. They have a quarterback now. You put Justin, and they
according to the rest of the NFL, they don't have one either. They don't have one now either.
I mean, they got Pickens, who we'll see, but they did trade Deontay Johnson. I mean, if they draft a really good young wide receiver or something in the draft and kind of address that, then maybe we'll be cooking with. They need a true number one guy for their offense.
I'm with you on Pickens. I'm trying to figure out what because some Sundays he looks unguardable. And then some Sundays he doesn't even want to run block for you.
But then he also does the whole like, the whole
he
just
quits.
take,
He gives up. Yeah,
take plays off. Exactly.
He checks out. Any NFL player check out, bro. I'm out on because you can get somebody hurt that way.
Exactly.
Checking out in football can get a teammate hurt.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, so now that's I mean, the Steelers went from Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and I can't think of a more diametrically opposed quarterback room from year to year, especially when you think of some of the politics of Mason Rudolph. But anyway,
Ask Myles Garrett.
I imagine that I know that they told Russell he's gonna get first crack and he'll be the first starter, but I think that this is going to be Justin Fields' team in short order. I don't think Russell Wilson has it anymore, and flatly Justin Fields does, right? Like, I think that's just where it boils down to. But this is also a lesson in reading the tea leaves from all these insiders and all these people who are breaking rumors and so on, because I'm old enough to remember when Justin Fields was going to get traded for a first-round pick.
Also, really quick, too, Baker Mayfield, right? He goes to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Historically bad. Revolving door to coaching, and people were ready to write this guy off. Not a lot of had one good year when he won 11 games. Goes to Carolina. We know that looks like gets a reset with the Rams. Stable front office, stable head coach, stable offense, ownership, and then goes to Tampa. Good offensive coordinator, weapons around him, all-pro receiver, and he earns himself another. And now people are like, "Hey, yeah, big." People were selling Baker Mayfield just 2 years ago that he shouldn't be in the league. He can't be a starting quarterback. That could be it's a better franchise. That's why I feel comfortable he's going to be the starter. This is a better franchise for him. Also, too, with Russell telling him he could get first snaps or putting that out there, I think that's stroking Russell's ego a little bit to keep you calm at first when you first get here. Because like I said, it's going to turn up, guys. It always has.
Well, he just had his introductory press conference.
But you just said, yeah, exactly. And we all agree, it's script talk. We all agree Russell Wilson does script talk. Yeah, you say all the good stuff, but this has been what you're doing. But the circles around you, bro, tell a different story. This is two franchises now. This is a bunch of people, players you've played with, men you've gone to battle with, have spoken like, yeah, man, this dude, he fake, man. This guy's a prima donna. This guy's a diva. The guys you go into battle with have said it. So there's got to be some truth there. It's not one guy. It's a handful of bunch of guys. The people in the media that are around him and stuff have put this stuff out there. I'm just saying, if Justin Fields is the starter, you got to move on. You can't have him there.
Why? Like, he's $1.2 million.
And that's why you can cut him.
It's one thing if he is going to cost you $38 million on dead cap because he has some level of leverage. Nobody wanted Russell Wilson. The fact of the matter, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say nobody. One team wanted Russell Wilson, right? That's it. Because if there was anybody else, he wouldn't be making the league minimum. He's making the league minimum because one team wanted him. That's not the most humbling experience that a football player or, hell, anybody can experience when you think you have the open market available to you. You think you have options all left, right, and center. And no. Not only do you not have options, you got to work for minimum wage. Now, that's what minimum wage. Prior to getting whatever he signed with in Denver, I forgot the actual contract. But when they trade they traded 2 players and all types of picks. I think it was 4 or 5 different picks and Noah Fant and Drew Lock to Seattle to get Russell Wilson. Yeah, you're walking in there with a little bit of a different cachet.
Flair,
you're walking in there with a little bit of different vibes, right? But now, if you can't be a good soldier here, you might as well retire.
Yeah.
Because your career is going to be over.
I think that might be the next step for him.
I can't imagine.
I just don't see him changing, man.
Right
guy, I mean, like the quote we used yesterday, when somebody shows you who they are, believe him, guys. Russell is showing us who he is. I don't understand how this is hard to understand and believe.
It's just hard to understand and believe because any quarterback that you sign, save it being a rookie, is going to cost more than Russell Wilson will as a backup for 17 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just not. I just think I'll stick with that. And we'll see. Time will play out. But if Justin Fields is a starter, I don't keep Russell around. This kid's confidence was shot in Chicago. You want him on a different tone. You want him on a different confidence level, being your quarterback moving forward. Like you said, Patrick, at least for the next 2 years, and see how it turns out. You don't want Russell. You don't want that cloud hanging over your locker room.
Yeah, but you do want a backup quarterback, though.
They'll find. There's backups. You can get backups.
Where?
Everywhere. You can get back up. Every team cuts
Where are
guys.
you getting one for $1.2 million?
I don't know about the money part, Martin. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the fact that you don't keep Russell Wilson. You can stick on the money part. I'm not going to stick on that part.
Well, if you have the
Just
most
get that
expensive
out of this-
defense in football, which the Pittsburgh Steelers do,
Okay.
that's where you spend your money. If you can get your quarterback room to be $26 million, that's pretty doggone good. Anybody else is going to cost more.
Chemistry means more than money, man. And sometimes certain franchises and certain positions, chemistry means more than money. You got to pay $5 or $6 extra million for your quarterback room to make sure the chemistry is cool. I think a smart franchise like the Steelers would do something like that. Other than, no, we'll save that money and have this controversy and this black cloud of the quarterbacks hanging over our franchise that we're trying to get back into the playoffs.
That's a perceived black cloud that
Okay.
I just don't understand where it's coming from. But I guess whatever.